It's not very good, is it, with Love Meghan? It's one of those things that you know it's coming.
It's official. Meghan Markle is in full meltdown mode. Netflix just slammed the door shut on her latest passion project with Love Meghan, and what was supposed to be her crowning comeback moment has turned into one of the most humiliating nosedives of her entire career. The deal was big. The dreams were bigger. But now everything is crumbling fast. And insiders say Meghan's reaction behind the scenes? Let's just say it wasn't pretty. This wasn't just another show. It was a vanity-driven, multi-million-dollar rebrand effort disguised as feel-good content. But after a storm of fake scenes, emotional manipulation, and jaw-dropping behind-the-scenes chaos, Netflix pulled the plug. Not quietly, not politely, but with finality. The fairy tale is over, and Meghan knows it. It all started with a dream. Transform the Duchess of Sussex into the Oprah 2.0 of a new generation. Uplift women. Champion social causes. Dominate the content game with glossy, empowering storytelling. With Love, Meghan was pitched as heartfelt, inspiring, and intimate. But once cameras started rolling and Netflix saw what was really going on behind the curtain, that dream began to rot. The show's debut was a soft launch, but Netflix had sky-high expectations. This was the Duchess of Sussex. The woman who married into royalty, walked away from it, and was now ready to reclaim her narrative. What could go wrong? Everything, apparently. One of the first red flags came when internal whistleblowers leaked that entire scenes in the show were completely fake. Not just edited or dramatized, staged from top to bottom. In one particularly controversial episode, Meghan is seen reading to underprivileged children in what was described as a local literacy center. But here's the kicker, those kids? Hired child actors. The volunteers? Meghan's own staff dressed to look like community workers. And the donations she gave? Taken back after filming. Netflix executives were floored. This wasn't just creative direction, it was deception. Viewers were being fed fiction, wrapped in the shiny packaging of authenticity. For a company that prides itself on original storytelling, this was a nightmare. And then came the emotional manipulation. Meghan's signature move. One of the most talked about moments in the show featured her tearfully holding one of Archie's toys in a soft-lit living room, music swelling, her voice cracking as she recalled a moment of racial profiling. Felt real. It was moving, but it wasn't hers. Internet sleuths quickly noticed her story matched, word for word, a viral Reddit post from 2017. Same phrases, same details, same emotions, except it didn't happen to Meghan. Worse, a former editor revealed that the crying sounds, they were added in post-production. Meghan never shed a tear during the shoot. It was all manufactured, right down to the sobs. This wasn't storytelling. This was emotional theft. And Netflix was done. Behind closed doors, things got even uglier. Meghan's accusations about the royal family, specifically about Queen Camilla and Prince William, crossed a line. In one now-deleted segment, she accused a senior royal of emotionally abandoning her while pregnant. Netflix's legal team immediately stepped in. No documentation, no witnesses, no timeline, just allegations. Lawyers warned the segment was a lawsuit waiting to happen. Netflix cut it. But the damage was done. Buckingham Palace was quietly seething, and Netflix realized that keeping Meghan on board could mean becoming collateral in a royal PR war. That wasn't a risk they were willing to take. And the drama didn't stop there. Multiple production staff came forward, anonymously of course, describing a toxic work environment. Meghan was described as impossible to please, hostile, and obsessed with control. She would reportedly humiliate assistants in front of others, demand last-minute rewrites, and override producers constantly. Crew's morale collapsed. Deadlines slipped. Netflix had to bring in conflict resolution specialists just to keep filming on track. But it was too late. Staff refused to return for a second season. What was meant to be a beacon of empowerment turned into a behind-the-scenes disaster fueled by ego, control, and chaos. Now let's pause and talk about how Meghan probably reacted when Netflix pulled the plug. According to insiders, Meghan was absolutely blindsided. This was supposed to be her redemption arc, the project that proved she could thrive outside the royal family. Sources close to the production say she was furious, feeling betrayed and deeply wounded, not just because of the cancellation itself, but because it meant her carefully curated image was collapsing in real time. She reportedly blamed Netflix, the editors, even the media for twisting the narrative. There were tears, frantic calls, and a desperate push to salvage what was left. She wanted rewrites, reshoots. She even offered to personally re-edit the footage. But Netflix didn't budge. The decision was final. Meghan's reaction, according to one insider, she felt exposed. Like someone pulled the curtain back on a performance she wasn't ready to stop. That performance continued to unravel. Even the show's emotional highlights, stories Meghan claimed were deeply personal, turned out to be borrowed or altered. Viewers spotted more examples of recycled online content passed off as her own experiences. It was becoming clear that Meghan's version of truth was more scripted than sincere, and Netflix had receipts. One leaked memo revealed that Meghan was labeled a reputational liability. Executives said her content lacked credibility, triggered backlash, and risked eroding viewer trust. The memo was clear: no more projects under her name, no spin-offs, no sequels, just silence. Even her inner circle backed away. Early drafts of the show included cameos from Oprah, Serena Williams, Tyler Perry, and Michelle Obama, but none of them showed up. Every single one pulled out or flat out refused once they reviewed the concept. They didn't want to be part of a vanity project built on half-truths. Not in this climate. Hollywood turned cold. And then came the Archie and Lilibet problem. Certain scenes showing Meghan's children raised serious legal concerns. Netflix couldn't verify the locations, permissions, or even confirm the identities of the children shown. Some staff feared stand-in children had been used for B-roll shots. That's a major violation in filmed media, especially when minors are involved. Lawyers rushed in. The footage was pulled. Future projects involving the children were ordered to undergo strict third-party oversight. It was the final straw. Behind the scenes, Netflix executives admitted it privately. They had made a mistake. Meghan had been given too much control, too much freedom. She ignored editorial feedback, overruled seasoned producers, and insisted on pushing her version of reality, no matter how much it bent the truth. One producer reportedly called the project a documentary by dictatorship. When staff pushed back, Meghan allegedly threatened to walk away and take the content with her. That bluff didn't work this time. Netflix had had enough. And now, with Love, Meghan cancelled, Meghan Markle faces the biggest reputational crisis since her royal exit. Her brand, once synonymous with empowerment and grace, now carries words like dishonest, manipulative, and untrustworthy. The viewership numbers tell the story. Ratings dropped over 60% by the third episode. Online engagement tanked. Even loyal fans started questioning her intentions. Netflix isn't just cutting ties, scrubbing the slate clean. Future collaborations are off the table. And Meghan? She's left holding the remnants of a brand that's unraveling by the day. The worst part? This wasn't a one-off mistake. It was a pattern, a calculated approach to storytelling that favored sympathy over truth, theatrics over substance. And when your empire is built on fiction, it only takes one gust of real-world exposure to blow it all apart. Meghan wanted a platform. She got it. She wanted control. She had it. But in the end, when everything collapsed, there was no one left to blame, and nowhere left to hide. Netflix walked away. Public is tuning out. And Meghan? She's learning that in Hollywood, the show only goes on if people believe it's real. And this time, no one's buying it. But here's the part that really stings. Even Meghan's defenders have gone silent. The media outlets that once rushed to her side are now carefully tiptoeing away. Journalists who once praised her strength are suddenly re-evaluating their coverage. A few have even started calling this scandal exactly what it is: a calculated PR operation gone off the rails. The very people who helped build Meghan's post-royal brand are now whispering that this might be the end of her influence in Hollywood. And then there's Harry. While Meghan is publicly absorbing the hit, Harry has been suspiciously quiet. Silent, in fact. No statements, no defenses, no Instagram quotes about love conquering all. Sources close to the couple say the tension in their Montecito mansion is palpable. Harry, already growing increasingly uncomfortable with the public backlash, was reportedly blindsided by the level of dishonesty baked into the Netflix show. He had assumed it was a feel-good series about service and family values. What he got was something closer to reality TV, and not the good kind. Question now is, how much of this did Harry actually know? Insiders suggest that toward the end of production, he was barely involved. He showed up for a few planned scenes, stuck to the script, then stepped away. Meghan, they say, ran the show. She called the shots. She wrote the narrative. And she edited out anything that didn't serve her image. If Harry voiced concerns, they were overruled. If he wanted to pump the brakes, the train had already left the station. And now that it's derailed, he's trying to quietly distance himself from the wreckage. Meanwhile, Meghan is reportedly on the phone with her crisis PR team daily. She's scrambling to contain the fallout, sending feelers to other media companies, hinting at new ideas and fresh content. But the reception hasn't been warm, not even lukewarm. Word around town is that major platforms are hesitant, even scared, to touch anything with her name on it right now. Once you're branded as a reputational liability, the entire industry takes a step back. And let's not forget the money. Oh, the money. Netflix paid handsomely for Meghan and Harry's content. Tens of millions, in fact. Some reports put the figure at $100 million for the entire deal, which included Heart of Invictus, Archetypes, and With Love, Meghan. But now, insiders say Netflix is re-evaluating the whole contract. The streaming giant has already axed Archwell Audio and dropped the couple's animated series Pearl months ago. With this latest debacle, it's likely they'll cancel any remaining commitments and chalk it all up as an expensive mistake. And in today's cutthroat streaming wars, that's a major move. Netflix has lost hundreds of thousands of subscribers this year. Their share prices are under pressure. Competition is fiercer than ever. So when they looked at the Meghan Markle brand and saw nothing but bad headlines, angry tweets, and audience drop-offs, the decision was easy. Cut the cord. Till Meghan's team refuses to admit defeat. They're spinning the narrative hard. According to their talking points, With Love, Meghan was a misunderstood project. It was too ahead of its time. It was unfairly targeted by critics. They say the media never gave it a chance. But the truth is, viewers gave it plenty of chances and walked away. Let's go back to the data. By episode 3, Netflix's algorithm reported a 64% viewer drop-off. That's almost unheard of for a high-profile release. And worse, users weren't just quitting the show, they were leaving negative reviews in droves. One viewer called it a masterclass in fake empowerment. Another wrote, "If I wanted scripted drama, I'd watch a soap opera." This was supposed to be a documentary. The backlash spilled onto social media. Hashtags like #FakeMeghan and #WithLiesMeghan started trending on X, formerly Twitter. Meme accounts exploded with clips comparing Meghan's lines to known Reddit stories, calling her the copy-paste Duchess. And YouTube commentators? They had a field day dissecting every scene, frame by frame, revealing inconsistencies, recycled sound bites, and awkward edits meant to evoke sympathy. But sympathy doesn't come easy when the manipulation is this obvious. Even Meghan's die-hard fans, the ones who defended every Oprah interview and clapped back at royal critics, started asking tough questions. Where was the accountability? Why weren't the stories verified? Why did everything feel so staged? And now, Meghan faces a reality she never prepared for, losing the narrative. She spent years telling the world she was silenced, pressed, targeted, and in many ways that may have been true. But with Love, Meghan, she wasn't silenced. She had full control, total autonomy, every opportunity to speak her truth. And she used it to fake tears, stage charity scenes, and retell someone else's trauma. If anything, this scandal reveals a deeper issue, a disconnect between Meghan's public image and her private methods. She talks about authenticity but edits real life into a performance. She speaks about vulnerability but manufactures emotions in the editing room. She claims to uplift women's voices but drowns out everyone else's in the process. And the public isn't buying it anymore. What comes next is unclear. There's talk of Meghan shopping a new memoir, this time focused entirely on her Hollywood experience. Rumors say she's reaching out to Apple TV+, Hulu, and even Amazon Prime for a second shot. But sources say the major players are treading carefully. The word risk is being used a lot in these meetings. Some even believe Meghan's window may have already closed. 'Cause in Hollywood, second chances are rare. And redemption doesn't come easy when your brand is built on self-constructed mythology. Let's be honest. Meghan Markle had everything: access, influence, fame, a royal title, and a platform larger than most people can dream of. She could have been a real force for change. But instead of using that power to tell stories that uplifted others, she centered herself again and again. She framed every issue around her own image. She blurred the lines between authenticity and artifice until viewers couldn't tell what was real anymore. And now, she's reaping what she sowed.